So I'm going to just start real simply, which is, and we're going to talk a little bit about you in the interview as well. So.
Okay.
But how's it been playing the role of Sonny in Xanadu?
It's been great. It's been
yeah.
really.
My
Do you want me to?
questions are not going to be heard.
Okay, so answer your question and
then.
then. Sure, you bet.
To tell you that and look at me.
Okay. Playing Sonny Malone in Xanadu has been really surprisingly fulfilling. And I say that because going into it, it wasn't something that, I don't know, I expected to really have to dig deep as an artist, as it were. And which is strange considering the subject matter is about an artist looking for his ultimate inspiration. But it has been really a gift. You know, it came to me, I did some workshops prior, and then, you know, things happen as they do in showbiz, and I didn't get to continue with it. And then it came back to me. I told my mom it would always, I had a feeling it would come back to me, and it has been the best 7 months ever. I love it. I love coming to the theater. I love the family. I just love the story. I love the unabashed joyfulness of it. 90 minutes. You look out in the audience and people, for 90 minutes, have just smiles plastered across their faces, and it's a great thing to be a part of. I love it.
Are you surprised not only by how much you're enjoying it, but are you also surprised by the success of it? Did you think in rehearsal, is this going to work on a Broadway audience?
I always knew it was special. I told Douglas Carter Bean the very first time I read the script, this is very special. And I hadn't ever really felt that strongly about something since I had done all the previous readings of Altar Boys off Broadway. The first time I heard that, I knew it was going to be something great, and I had the same feeling about this. I knew the success depended on casting, because there's only 9 people in the show, and you really had to have 9 people that were really fully realized artists on their own that could carry themselves, because it's not like leads and ensemble, you know. And also really in the direction. I was so glad that Chris Ashley stayed with it, and he can ground high camp. He can make you actually care about these people. So was I surprised? I mean, I was surprised how good the reviews were, but ultimately not so much, because I knew it was great. It was just a matter of, you know, all the cards lining up and the stars.
Yeah, because critics haven't been too friendly to film to stage
no.
projects, but this one they really went.
Yeah, critics have not been too friendly with film to stage in the past few years especially, and so definitely, I think it was Tony Roberts that said, you know, it all boils down to, kid, we need a good review from the Times. And really, we did. We needed a good review from the Times, and we got a rave from the Times, and everything else kind of followed suit, and I really think it's the little show that could. I think it's gonna be like a Spring Awakening or Avenue Q, how it kind of starts here and then just, it's a ground, and I feel it right now. It's exciting to be a part of every day.
What about all the things that you have to bring to the role and the performance? It asks a lot of you. Did you roller skate before this, for instance?
A little bit. I mean, I went to a private Christian school in northern Idaho, and so every couple of months we would have Christian roller skating nights where we'd meet with other Christian schools and skate to like Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith. I know. And so it was, I had a little bit of a history with skating, but once I hit puberty, and I'm 6'4" now, I didn't dare put on skates. I just thought, what's the point, you know? When I fall, it's a long way to fall. So that was very daunting, the fact that, you know, much of my performance would be on skates.
That is scary.
Yeah, it's...
I thought you skated a long time, so...
Yeah, no.
And you had to learn the role quickly, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, in the second workshop we did put on skates a little bit, and mostly it was just kind of circles, and then across the back of the stage, kind of holding the wall. It was not, you know, anything like it is now. And when I joined the show in June, you know, my skating was just not good. All I could do was kind of just stand erect and kind of do a circle. So in the final number, they kind of had me come out and woo woo, and thank you. And as I've gotten better, now I feel comfortable. Now they've actually put me in the number, and now I feel good.
As far as you started off by saying how the show is playing and all of that.
Yeah.
How is tell me a little bit about playing it with this audience.
Yeah.
And how the show works. I meant when the interview earlier, I was talking about how with comedies it seems like a laugh will start at the beginning and roll to the end. But in this show, there seem to be pockets of people that kind of, has epicenters where
It's true.
it comes in. Tell me a little bit about playing this show with the audience.
Playing this show with the audience is, it's been kind of a tricky thing because I've never been really that much of a laugh whore. I've never really, laughs really don't, as a comedian, of course, you always want to get the payoff. You want to bump, bump, bump and get the joke. But because the show is so high, so quickly paced, what we found is if we don't get laughs, it really sucks. And backstage, everybody, morale gets down. So what we found a way is really to kind of gauge the audience right off the bat. And I start the show on stage, 5 minutes prior, doing my mural, and immediately when I start the monologue, I can gauge I don't know how to say this, I can gauge the sophistication level of the audience by their response to the first monologue. And so all of us have kind of found a way to, we know what they're going to respond to. If it's a really, really gay crowd, then we know that the high, sure. Yeah. If it's a really, really gay crowd and they're really exuberant and boisterous, then we know what's going to work. If it's a tourist-heavy crowd with lots of, the other night we had 20 11-year-olds on stage, we know maybe what not to emphasize so much and maybe what they're gonna get. So really all of us have found a way to kind of where we hit the joke, where to kind of, don't waste your time there because that ain't gonna work tonight. So it's been a really good training ground, especially with this type of fast-moving camp.
So how gay is this show to
How
you as
gay?
From a performer's? I mean, we certainly talked about it a lot with
Yeah.
Robert, but
How gay is this show? That's a question I get asked a lot, and this show it's just gay enough, but it's the gayest show, I think, in the history of the gay world. And in a good way, because a lot of people, that's a silly quote, I know, but it's what the gay people want. They want all of their jokes, they want all of their camp, they want all of their references, they want all of the Olivia Newton-John hair, and they want all of that fabulosity. And then the people, the sophisticated, New York audiences, it's just enough to where they feel like they're feeding that side of them. And then the tourists that come in, they feel kind of, ooh, this is the side of life. I feel kind of naughty and fun, and so I think it's just gay enough.
I think that's exactly how Vampire Lesbians worked, Peter, because they did that too. Tell me a little bit about Sonny, the character Sonny, what he wants, what happens in the show.
Yeah. Sonny I really, really love him. And first of all, I always think it's weird when actors talk about their characters in third person, but you you just gotta. Sonny he's an artist. He's a beach artist. He is so full of life. He's so joyful. And it's really fun, I think, to play somebody who is just so positive. Everybody, the last couple things I've done, especially on Broadway, have been kind of these brooding types that have all this, heaviness on their shoulders, and they have, something to prove. He just wants to create the ultimate utopia of art, and whatever that means to him. And so I also think he's a stoner. I also think he loves the whole Muscle Beach aspect of Venice Beach. I think he's an innocent. I don't think there's a cynical bone in his body, and I think his comedy comes from just the situations he's put in. And so it's very important for me to always remember the truth of what I'm looking for in each scene, the objective, because when you're on stage with Kerry Butler and Jackie Hoffman and Mary Testa, who are all three stellar comedians, the natural inclination is to want to get right up in there and waka waka, but I have to stay true to what I'm searching for as Sonny, and I love it, I have to say.
I think, are we seeing his wire? Can you maybe just close that up a bit?
Yeah.
That I need to do.
Yeah.
So, as far as finding out Sonny, and I want to talk about your journey.
Yeah.
Where are you from, and how did you find your way to New York City?
I'm from a little town in northern Idaho called Old Town, Idaho. It has 1,200 people in the town. My parents are actually ex-hippies from Southern California, very familiar with the beach artist scene in Venice, and I don't even think my producers necessarily know that, but it was a big part of their existence at the time, and so I've actually culled a lot from pictures and things of my parents to create this part. But then they became born-again Christians, and they literally took a map out and said, we don't want our children to grow up thinking the sky is brown, i.e. the smog in Southern California. So they looked and they went, Old Town, Idaho, green, flourishing, Northwest, let's go there. So they moved my older brother and me, I was 8 months old, to this little town. We lived on 40 acres. My dad built our house. We had, for a time, we had no running water, and we had an outhouse and insulation on the walls, and it was, we had chickens and we grew potatoes, and it was a great, great, amazing childhood. My mom stayed home. My dad was a cop. My mom taught me to sing when I was about 4, and was a fantastic singer in her own right. I think if it had different circumstances come her way, she would have been a big star in her own right. So that's where I started. That's where I came from. The town was really small. My parents still live there. So really, it was just, I had a great kind of Norman Rockwell childhood. Played sports, sang in the choir, had a pretty girlfriend. And then I was 17, and I thought, I can't stay in Newport. I can't stay in Spokane, Washington, which was the biggest city around. So I moved to the biggest city around, which was Seattle. And I moved to Seattle, and I stayed there for 7 years, and I worked in community theater, and I got my equity card, and kind of dabbled in theater. I loved it, and people definitely responded, but it didn't pay the bills. So I worked at a magazine, For Rent magazine. It's kind of like those free periodicals that when you're looking for an apartment. And I worked at that magazine in sales up until 6 years ago. And then 9/11 happened, and also we had a death in our family, our immediate family, and both of those instances just knocked me on my ass. And I thought, you know what? Life is short, and if this is gonna happen for me, I need to make something happen. So I quit my job, and I moved to New York. And I had one contact in New York, Mark Kudish, who I had understudied in a horrible production of Prince and the Pauper in Seattle. And he said, dude, you need to move to New York. We need, new leading men. And he hooked me up with his agent, and I auditioned for my first show, which was Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I booked it. And I've been working my tail off ever since to try to catch up to the other kids.
It's quite a story of quick success in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to tell that story to a lot of actors just because they, the natural inclination is to say, screw you, you didn't pay your dues, but I did. I paid them in the Northwest, believe me. But yeah, it was definitely the universe's way of saying this is where you needed to be. I didn't go to school for acting or singing, but it was just my mom taught us, and since then I've studied with some of the greatest, and it's really tried to make up for lost time, and I love it, and I stay focused and motivated and just turned on by new projects, Xanadu being one of them.
What about your family thinking? No, certainly New York City, considering.
Yeah, they love it.
Who's they?
My parents love New York City. They come here, they come to everything I do. They're so supportive. They go to every show I've done. I've done 5 Broadway shows. Everything they can. I mean, and it's, it's a 7-hour flight, but they come here, and my dad hates the big city, but they do, and my mom's my #1 fan. I mean, it's never waned. And without that support, I don't know if it would be as fulfilling,
Not like New York could corrupt you or anything like that. They weren't those types.
No, and I think mainly because I moved to New York when I was 27 and not 17. I was 17 and 18 and started musical theater, and people said, oh, you have something special, you should move to New York. And I think had I, when I was 18 or 19, it would have spit me out, made me, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. And I think because I went as an adult and I knew who I was, I didn't fall into any of that. I knew who I was, I knew what my goals were, I was focused.
As far as knowing who you are, were there ever questions to you as far as being in the closet or out of the closet as an actor? Or? I mean,
No.
there's a lot of talk of that
Yeah.
among actors. But
Yeah. It was never being out of the closet. It was never something that I really ever thought about. I mean, and I know that sounds maybe glib, but um, I'm just a really open person, for better or for worse. My agents, publicists, people would perhaps want me to be less open, but it's just the way I am. I always have been. I use this story, like every time I start a new project, I always say, the very first day, I think, I'm gonna be that guy in the corner that is really mysterious and brooding and doesn't say anything, and everybody says, ooh, what's his story? He's so, he's that cool actor guy. And literally, and that lasts until the first break of the day, and then I just blah, blah, blah. I'm open. It's just the way I am, and I've learned to embrace it as an adult. And so that kind of played into if I was gonna come out or not. I mean, I don't get cast as the gay best friend in any project, so I figured I'm always playing the big leading man who kisses the pretty girl, and that's always been that way. So if I can just never be in the closet, then I guess I never have to come out. So I came out when I was 19, and it was never something, I mean out to my parents, who are very religious. My brother's a pastor who sometimes preaches on the 700 Club. I mean, so I had some obstacles, in all of those decisions, but it was during All Shook Up, when I did the Elvis show a couple years ago. It was my first big break and a big billboard on my face in Times Square, and the New York Times called and wanted to do a piece on me, and part of the deal was they wanted to talk about me being out, and my agents at the time supported me completely. And I love that. I think anybody who's gonna be on my team or, one of my peeps has to know that that's just kind of the way it is. I want my talent and my character to speak for who I am, not, who I sleep with.
and the family came along.
Yeah, eventually. It took them a few years. I mean,
Who are we talking about? So I know.
sure. Yeah, it took my family a few years to come to terms with everything, and maybe just to mourn what they thought they wanted my life to be. I think that's normal and natural, and so we had to go through all those things that every family does. But they have really, I give them such credit because they've really grown, and our relationship with us has grown because of it.
What do you think of the community here, gay community in New York? You seem very active in charity work, things like that.
Yeah.
You've had found time for that?
I do. The gay community in New York is obviously, huge and important, and I do, until I have a lot of money to give to these organizations, which I don't yet, I want to give my time. And, people tease me that I do a benefit every single week, and don't you ever say no. And I do, believe it or not, say no. It's just that I feel like if somebody is going to, if 50 or 100 more people are gonna go to an event because I'm gonna show up and sing a song, it's hard for me to justify me staying home and watching a rerun of America's Next Top Model when I could be out helping a cause that I care about. So, yeah, I do try to stay active. I'm just now really getting involved with AMFAR. I'm on their host benefit committee now. I've done some stuff with them, and the lesbian, gay, transgender, and I think questioning. I think you have to add questioning on that now. Center, and yeah, I take my position and my response. I take it seriously. I know it's not something that everybody necessarily wants thrust upon them. Like being the poster boy for gay causes. My friend Chris Sieber and I, we always joke every time our names are mentioned anywhere, it's always openly gay Cheyenne Jackson, openly gay Chris Sieber, which frankly I think is just kind of boring and reductive, but I understand it, I get it. One of my best friends is black, and he said growing up there were no black families on TV, and occasionally like a Burger King commercial would come on and a black family would be on, and the whole family would run out and they would watch it, and they would get so excited because they were represented. And I think there's something beautiful and sad, but great about that. And I understand that people want to be represented, and if people look up to me and feel like I represent something to them, that's great. And they do. I get so much mail from young kids. And
Tell me about your film work.
yeah.
I don't know, mainly this is the one film, but why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I'm just kind of, stepping into the whole film side of things. It's never been something that I've actively pursued, but it was always something that I wanted to. When the time was right, I thought it would happen. I'm not incredibly, what's the word? I haven't been incredibly ambitious when it comes to that, but I always felt like when the time is right, the right project came along. So yeah, it was a year and a half ago, United 93. They were having auditions here in New York, and they were casting a lot of theater people and people with improvisational skills. And I'd never done improv, but I just had a feeling I would be good at it because I kind of have the gift of gab, and I don't know, it's just, I grew up playing make-believe, so I thought, why not? And it was one of those things where just the stars lined up, and I had several callbacks, and I met with the director, and it was a beautiful, life-changing experience. We filmed in London, and to play someone that was a real person, and
Can you say who you actually played? So
yeah, I
can
played Mark Bingham.
And I'm going to let you say this. I interrupted you.
Sure, sure. And in United 93, I played Mark Bingham, and to play someone who is a real person, it's just, there's so much more than just researching a character, you know. I felt a really huge sense of responsibility, and all of us did on the film, and I did everything I could to just embody him, you know. Every picture I could find, every you know, recording of his voice, every kind of transcript ever, I put them up. We were staying in this crappy little hotel in Slough, London, and I pasted them all over my little room just so I could kind of breathe it in, and you know, because we weren't asked to do characterizations of these people, or you know.
Did you meet his family?
I did meet his family. His mom, fantastic. She and I did Larry King Live together, and yeah, it's just been, it's almost even, so many people haven't seen United 93, and I understand. I think had I not been in it, I probably wouldn't see it either because it's so hard. But it was amazing, and it was a great first experience.
Just have another question too.
Yeah.
What's it like working with Kerry Butler?
Kerry Butler. I had seen her in many things before, and always been a fan. She's obviously a great physical comedian, and obviously has a fantastic instrument.
That one's
Sure,
a bit
sure.
too much. Otherwise, would you lucky?
Oh, sound-wise? Oh, yeah.
Okay, now you can do it.
So working with Kerry Butler, I had been familiar with her before. I saw her in Hairspray, and I saw her in Little Shop of Horrors, and I think, I mean, she's obviously a great physical comedian and a fantastic voice, but I had never seen her something where all of her very unique talents could be all combined into one thing. And you know, going into this, I'd only seen Jane Krakowski do the part in workshops and such. And Chris and the producer said, "You got to see Kerry do this. It's just, it's out of this world." And I went in and I watched, and she blew me away. She makes such strong choices, and she's grounded, and she's solid, and I totally dig her. I've learned so much from her. She's focused. She never, you know, we're seated on stage. Sometimes there's 20 drag queens sitting behind us on stage. Sometimes there's 10-year-olds. Sometimes there's people passing bags of Skittles back and forth. Tony and I are, you know, we get distracted, and Kerry's like totally focused. So she's a pro. And our relationship has really grown. You know, me going into the show was such kind of strange circumstances for everyone, and I know she's really good friends with James Carpinello. So it was a delicate situation, but really just, we're all professionals, and now we love each other, and our relationship has really grown. I think our chemistry on stage has gotten even closer because of that.
Great chemistry. Anything I missed you'd like to add about Xanadu on Broadway?
I don't think so. Feel good. Thanks, man.
Oh, no, we have to talk about your sardies. We have to talk about
Oh,
your
yeah.
What's happening? It's right out the window.
Yes. So, yes, as you can see, we are at Sardi's, and I am getting my own caricature at Sardi's. I believe it's going to be in 2 weeks, and quite frankly, I could pee my pants about it because it's a dream come true. It's amazing, and people I look up to so much, Mary Testa and Tony Roberts, these people that have them. I mean, it's a huge honor, and it's not something I'm taking lightly. It's pretty amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Film yes, can you go right into the
Yeah.
camera and say I am, and you are watching In the Life? Maybe do 2 takes.
Yeah. I am Cheyenne Jackson, and you are watching In the Life.
Let's do it once with a hi.
Okay. Hi, I'm Cheyenne Jackson, and you are watching In the Life.
Great, can you hold still with the room tone? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know what? Send your son
Yeah.
off to New York City.
My brother became Hasidic. He don't look good.
How do you become acidic?
Grow these
You
long.
just,
You
you adopt, you become very religious.
That's not.
Is he? Does he have those payas?
He doesn't have the payas, but he has a huge beard, the
Does he
grotesque,
really?
really untrimmed
Ew,
square.
I hate that.
See the gay movie at the trampoline before?
Yes,
That's
it's
amazing.
excellent.
I know Sandy.
Very interesting.
What is it?
It's about, it's a good documentary about Orthodox Jews who are gay.
Really?
And how they mingle the two lives
Wow.
and how they're not accepted and how, it's very
It's a
good.
really good
Really well done.
Netflix.
You would like it.
Okay, I like the
Warmed
documentaries.
up a few degrees at least. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's just like
Yeah, the light is good. The light is warm.
this is warm. He was freezing over there.
Yeah, well,
By
it's
the window.
cold.
So, so the 2 things to be aware of in this is that you'll look at me and not this thing.
Mm-hmm.
When and then my questions are not going to be heard. So we can fold the answer into the
Right.
question. I'll help you with that.
And give you a space after you ask a question so we don't overlap.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if I were to say, what is your favorite color instead of blue, it would be my favorite color.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I'm not going to ask you that.
Oh, we have to do that? We have to repeat every
they're
question
not gonna-
when
they
he
don't wanna
asks?
hear me.
us?
Well, you know, we have to just be mindful of the
point,
fact that
Oh.
he's.
Repeat the question, but just kind of fold it.
Yeah.
And I'll help
Okay.
with that.
All right.
And other than that,
Why can't they hear him ask the question?
I'm
Because
not
it's
the
not, that's not
correspondent.
part of the thing.
I'm not the correspondent. There's some other handsome young man that's going to.
Yeah, okay.
Why couldn't he be here?
Yeah.
Look at the tablecloth we get.
No,
And-
Doug did that apparently.
Oh.
Ah!
So, and either if you talk, I'm going to be talking with both of you, and not a lot of questions. And,
Okay.
but the first, I have to say that when Xanadu was announced and what was happening in my community of friends, we've been going to theater for many years in New York. I think one of the most exciting things was to have you 2 on stage together in this show. I mean, that was the thing we thought about first, because we were like, wow, what's this going to be like? But I'm just wondering, what did each of you think when you were approached about doing Xanadu? I mean, and with that in mind, did you know much about Xanadu when they asked you about it, the movie? Either of you.
Well, you know, it's so funny because we were both involved for so long. There were 2 readings and 2 workshops that we were both involved with.
But we were, like, when we knew it was gonna actually happen, it was still quite of a shock that it was actually gonna move.
Yeah.
And I actually got the news when I was lying in bed in the hospital recovering from surgery. So, it didn't make me any better.
So from the readings and the workshops, you weren't like thinking, this is going to be a great
No.
Broadway vehicle.
I thought it was really funny, but, I think we're both of the same mindset where we're like, this isn't gonna happen.
You know, we've
If they happen,
been
they're
around
not
the
gonna
block
use
a few
us. Yeah, yeah,
times.
yeah.
And
Jaded, as our producers like to call
yeah,
us.
we call it experienced. But, you know, I always thought that they were gearing it for off-Broadway. So I didn't know that Broadway was a possibility. And every time they'd call and ask me to do a reading or a workshop, I was oddly always available. So, and I'm not always available. So I was like, yeah, sure, that was fun. Yeah, I'll do that again. So it all came as a big surprise when my agent called and said, are you ready for this? They're going to Broadway. I was like, what show are you talking about? It's Xanadu. Really? Oh, okay. You know, blasé.
And did you, there's been a lot of talk about what people thought the reviews might be for this show. Did either of you or each of you have an idea that it might have this kind of response? I mean, really, honestly.
I had no idea. I really had no idea. I don't know anything anymore. I've decided that the longer I'm in show business, the less I know about how people are going to react to something, and I think that that's good.
I had hope, which is unusual because I normally am a person who doesn't have hope. But I was really, I just thought that the script was so funny and intelligent that I kind of had hope for the critics. I didn't have hope for it's staying power.
When we had the lovely James Carpinello with us, he would say to me all the time, Mary, what do you think? And I'd say, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. It's anybody's guess.
Right.
It depends on the mood of the critic that night. It depends on so many things.
But so many critics liked it.
I know.
So many critics liked it that it's been kind of a surprise hit in a way, right?
We got a lot of attitude when we were in rehearsal. And I say, even still now, people will go, how's it going?
Waiting
it
for that
going?
other roller skate to drop, if you will.
Someone just said to me the other day, so what, do you got a couple more months maybe? You know?
Someone said that to you?
Yeah, a producer. Mm-hmm.
Appalling.
Welcome to show business.
But neither of you have to roller skate in this show.
We do not have to roller skate.
That's why we're here today.
All of the ambulances in the city thank you, or thank us. Yeah.
What about as they slowly started to add elements, like as far as the over-the-topness, whether it was the costumes and then the set? I mean, as it started to layer on, were you still hopeful that this might be accepted as a Broadway show?
We were working so hard, I was just like, all right, just do the next thing, just do the next thing. And just, it's like any rehearsal process. I think Mary has been through a lot more of them than I have on this level. But you just go with, that's what it is. That's the deal.
And also, this is not so glitzy. I mean, I've been involved in other Broadway shows that have a lot more wow, to them than this. This is really just character driven, and I think the biggest effect we have is at the end in the Zeus scene where there's, a snake head and a centaur, and we don't really have big visual effects.
No, it's a bare bones
And
Kmart.
a big mirror. We have the big mirror.
How about starting something from the whole process, working with Douglas Carter Bean on this script?
Working with Douglas Carter Bean is always fascinating because he really is. He's funny as all
Yeah.
get out, anyway. And I've known him for, Jackie, you too, right? I've known
A
him for like
long
over 20 years.
time, yeah.
And it was amazing to watch him hone this script because it was a very different script, the first reading of Xanadu, than it is now. There were like 30 people in it. There were all these 80s celebrities. It was very different. And each reading and workshop, he honed it more and more and more. And it was really fascinating to watch. And he's also a real good team player too, in
Yeah.
that if you say, what is this line? I don't, and he really works with the actor too. So, it was a great collaborative process.
And he wrote our parts for each of us, so he wrote
Yeah.
for both of us. So if it wasn't for him, I mean, who else but a middle-aged homosexual would have both of us in the same
Exactly.
show?
As
So
the,
we really
evil ones.
owe it to him, because people just don't do that anymore. People don't even have one evil aging
Yeah, they're always sort of evil, but
broad.
they're never really evil. They're like,
evil but still pretty.
they're Disney evil.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great transition because I wanted to now ask you, each of you, about what character you play and about the duo in Xanadu. Who are you in the show, and what is your character about in the show plot?
Well, I'm Melpomene, or Melpomene, I never pronounce it right, who's the oldest of the muses, who is very upset that she was passed over as lead muse. And so she enlists the help of Calliope,
Die.
yes, who is the muse of epics, and I'm the muse of tragedy, to help her sort of get Kira, who
Yeah.
is named,
Undo the heroine.
yeah,
The pretty
undo
girl.
the heroine. By making her fall in love, which is not so horrible, really, when you think about it. And I actually have said this before in interviews, but my character is really pissed because she calls me old, which is not really very nice for a little blonde muse to say.
Yeah. Even though we're ancient.
Yeah, even though we're all ancient, she calls me old. So we exact revenge. And so the hilarity ensues. But we're not, we are good at what we do in our muse categories. I would like to think. You, Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the muse of epics, so which I try to incorporate in the show. And let's see, when can I go on too long?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, and I get to play Aphrodite, goddess of love. So it's a comedy.
Is it fun being this big in a show? I mean, as far as how big you guys are able to be with the characters?
It's fun for me, yeah. That's why I love this part because, I mean, Douglas really tailored it. Like, he knows our strengths better than any other writer out there, and he, again, God bless the gays for loving the big and loving the, just loving the over-the-topness of it. And Chris Ashley, our director, really was able to, like several people have said this to me, that Chris was able to perfectly ride the very fine line between it being too campy and not too campy and too big and not too big, and it's just perfect. It's just right. Just the right level of comedy that makes it really, really funny, and then there's just it stops at just the right point. So it's like believable and fun, and it's got a lot of heart to it. But yeah, we're the ones who are allowed to just have more fun than anybody, I think.
We're given license. But the whole thing about bigness, it's Broadway. And, there's really not a lot of room for subtlety on a Broadway stage. And I would challenge you to find in even all of the musicals, there is a heightened reality. I sometimes bristle at the term big, because there is a heightened reality that has to happen in a Broadway show. I mean, not in a play per se, but in a Broadway musical, things are heightened always. Even the most realistic of musicals have a heightenedness to them. So we are big, if you want to say that, but I think we're just full.
Not gonna get subtlety from Fantasia.
Exactly.
Everybody picks on us.
Yeah.
We're big.
I know, with the big broad. And what about Fantasia? Next question.
Check, please.
Yes. Waiter, this man is bothering me.
I hope not.
No, I'm teasing.
As far as writing that fine line, there's also a lot of talk of how gay the show is. I think that line was written very well, too. Could you talk about that a little bit, of how gay the show feels as far as performing on stage for audiences, because you're familiar with Broadway audiences and how they feel?
When we get a family crowd, it doesn't feel as gay. When we get our gay audiences, who of course are our best audiences, then it really, it's just not necessarily a gay show. It's very gay friendly, and gay people get it more than anybody. But I find that any theatrical experience, including my solo stuff, gay people get that more than anybody. So.
Because there's a lot of inside theater jokes and things like that in the show, I think that it is that gay friendly. But I think Jackie's right. It is for an entire range of people. But the gay audiences are just more fun. They're more appreciative and they're more vocal about their appreciation, which always makes it just more fun to perform for.
Do you know early in a performance? You must know pretty quickly what kind of
We
we
know
kinda
out of the
can
gate.
tell,
Tell me about that.
Well, usually when we come up in an elevator where we come up in 2 shifts, and if the audience is a larger gay audience than normal, they will start to applaud and woo and yahoo, and be vocal right off the bat. With the family audiences, they're kind of like, what is this? So they're silent basically.
It doesn't start like a typical, nothing about this is like a typical Broadway show, and it doesn't start typically. It starts very, very differently. So till people get into it, if they're on it, i.e. gay, they'll get into it, much quicker. It'll take less, but sometimes it just has to grow on people. And that's one of the things that's great about it, is that it's not the typical, here we are, we're muses. It's not like that at all. It's a very subtle, quiet, kind of strange, cool start.
I had someone say to me the other night, a woman, with a family. Her father's an actor, so I guess you can count her gay, even though she's got a family. She said, you have to know your Greek mythology to appreciate the show. Come on, you've got to know the Greeks. So you're like, yeah, you do. That helps.
So you've had fun trying to read these audiences and feel how open they are to the shows. You're saying it's quite a different kind of musical experience on Broadway.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little looser. Looser, I don't know.
A lot looser.
Yeah.
Do you each have a favorite moment on stage as far as the show itself goes, as far as your performances?
I don't think in terms like that.
Just wondering.
because if you have a favorite moment, then you're favoring one moment over the other. And so I kind of, sometimes things go smoother than others. Sometimes the timing of things are really like effortless and great. And sometimes they feel a little forced, personally, not. But I try not to have favorite things. I can never answer that question.
It's a really funny
Sorry to be
comedy, so
difficult
there's
with
a
you.
lot, and we keep, because we have much more freedom than an actor does in a typical Broadway musical, which is more of a stick up the ass uptight situation, and we have like much more room to play and stuff. So people keep discovering stuff and finding stuff, and it just gets funnier and funnier. Yeah, then this one found something that kills me. But it's filthy, ha!
I actually have always enjoyed, and I've said this in early interviews, I have always enjoyed a walk-on that Jackie does.
Yeah, she's the only one.
Yeah, no, I
Audience
totally
is
enjoy
silent.
it. And I actually used to do something in that moment. I've stopped now because I decided I'd give it over to your walk-on.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. I
Yeah.
used to sniff the money, but it doesn't work anymore. So now I just stand still while you walk
doesn't
on
work
like
either.
Quasimodo.
People are just confused, yeah.
It's okay.
Why is she Quasimodo,
It's cumulative.
You have fun with that audience up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we have a great number of Xanadu's or Xanadudes or what do they call themselves? Do crew, who have seen the show more times than you've
We've
even
done
had
it.
breakfast. They're in the 70s, 80s, hundreds of times, and that's not an exaggeration. That is actual fact. So they very often sit on stage, and they're lovely because they're very supportive, obviously, of the show. When we have them on stage, we know they will start applause, and if the audience is dead, they will applaud for things, sorry, boom. They keep things lively for us.
I think the first night I saw it, you turned to the front row and said, "Is this what gay people call bears or something?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, those
Oh,
big guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Does that happen more than once so that you can throw out a line like that?
I was told not to do it at all, so it's happened a lot.
Yeah. Jackie has that moment in the show where if she wants to go, she can go. I mean, even though she's not supposed to, it's really a good moment in the show for her to do it. And if the audience is uptight, it sometimes opens the audience up, loosens them up, and then they sort of, giggle a little bit more and they get themselves going. It's pretty far into the show, but it's a good time for her to do it, so.
Our director won't be watching this.
Probably will, but he's in California, so. Hi, Chris.
All bets are off.
Like you said a little bit about how it seems a little looser than your average Broadway show, and I'm just wondering, as far as its very, first bit of energy, which was Aaron's. What do you think of his eagerness and his wanting to bring this? I mean, it probably rolls in a little bit with what you said about this is never going to happen. But what do you think of him and how he just pushed this until it happened?
Well, he's tenacious, and that's a wonderful, that's wonderful for a producer to have. I believe this is his first theatrical production, and so it's wonderful that he was successful. He knew what he wanted, and he went after it, which is kind of a wonderful example to people. If you believe in something, you can make it happen.
I don't understand his attachment to this particular project, but I'm glad he had I'm glad he had the tenaciousness to go through with it, because, we're all benefiting from his,
Exactly. And,
I
he
just
really...
what could you be attached to this film? Could you be attached, why?
Don't know why
Which is what
he
the
had
public
it.
is saying, why?
Yeah.
And then after they see the show, they understand.
Yeah.
I'm through my questions. Is there anything you'd like to add that I forgot to ask you or botched or anything like that?
Botched. Have I made you uncomfortable by
No,
my...
I've been
Okay.
so many times. I've done it many times.
I've been uncomfortable many times. I'm bigger than you.
Do we want to make a gay appeal?
Oh, yeah,
Wanna
you
make
have
a
to.
gay appeal?
Yeah,
Do
you
you
have to
want
come
to
to
do
see the
an
show.
on-air ID?
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
you do that?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that actually, which is I am, and you are watching
Yeah.
in the life.
Okay.
Wonderful. Straight to camera. I'm sorry? Straight to camera? Yes, straight to
Oh,
camera.
don't worry. We know where the camera is. Hi, I'm Mary Testa.
And I'm Jackie Hoffman,
You're watching In the Life,
the show for gays, by gays.
and we want to make an appeal to you.
Please
Jackie.
help.
Please come and see our show, Xanadu. You'll have a wonderful time. Jackie?
People think it's your average Broadway musical, but it's not. It's very gay-friendly. Please help.
We just have much more fun when the gays are in the audience. Please come.
Thank you.
Thank
I don't think
you.
we need to do that again. That was great.
Raised 100,000 for the age.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Have some more of that great news spot, 30 seconds. This story will be 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we can really get into it.
Oh, cool.
And where will we go? Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure you know the drill, but talk to me, not,
Okay.
not this guy.
Okay.
And in this case, I'm not an on-air reporter, so my
Okay.
questions are not going to be heard at all.
So I have to repeat your questions, kind of?
Try to fold it in, and I'll
Okay.
help you with that if I don't think that's happened. Feel free to stop, go back.
Okay.
We have lots of editing room, and it's documentary style.
Okay.
Okay? So first of all, what I'm going to do is just ask you to tell me what character you play and what happens to her in Xanadu. What is her journey?
Okay. I play Clio, a Greek goddess muse, who transforms herself into Kira, which is actually like my main part throughout the show. So that's who I disguise myself as. And Kira has an Australian accent, and so she is sent to Earth to inspire art in Sunny Malone.
And Sunny Malone is played by?
Sunny Malone is Cheyenne Jackson. And I also play like a little part Tangerine, who's Southern girl. So these are all of my different muse disguises.
And how familiar were you with the Xanadu movie? Did you
I loved the Xanadu movie when I was little. I remember going to see it. I was a huge Olivia Newton-John fan, and so I was so excited to see it, and I loved it. And then I watched again, when I got the show, and I just thought, it's not really the way I remember it, but it's fun.
So how does it feel to play the role that Olivia Newton-John played? And I understand she was in the audience opening night, or tell me about that.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John was in the audience on opening night, and I was so nervous because I learned to sing from her. I would sing her songs in my backyard and charge like 25 cents to our neighbors to come and see me sing these songs. So I sang all these songs when I was little, and in the show, I do sort of an impersonation of her a little bit just in my singing style, not in the acting at all. And so I was nervous that she might think I was making fun of her when really it was just paying tribute to her. And so that was the only time I've been nervous doing the show. And as soon as the show started, I could see her in the audience, and she was laughing hysterically. So she got all the humor, and she could laugh at herself. She was a great sport, and she loved the show. So that was so exciting.
I'm just going to ask you to give me the beginning of that answer again, because
You were talking.
I may have swapped Olivia Newton-John, and it also ran together really quick.
Oh, okay.
So just,
Okay.
I think we got into that by saying
I loved Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, and that she played that character, and that you were a fan of hers.
Oh, okay. So growing up, I loved Olivia Newton-John. I was a huge fan of hers, and to now be playing the part that she played in Xanadu was so exciting, but also nerve-wracking when she came to see the show.
It's not necessarily a show that a movie. What is that? Where in the movie? Is there a phone that's beeping? Oh, it stopped. Was it a problem? I didn't hear it through the answer, though. Okay. Where was it? Oh, Xanadu was not necessarily a movie that was all that great for Olivia Newton-John's career, though. As this Xanadu was coming together, were the people in the cast, were you guys wondering how is this going to be as a Broadway vehicle? Did you have that concern or worry?
I think we were all definitely concerned about how it would turn out, because when you're doing even though whenever you're doing a new show, it's like you never know for sure whether it will be good or bad, because when you're in it, you're so in it that you can't see the big picture. So for sure, all of us were concerned. You know, the movie was a flop, but I feel like that those are the best things to turn into a musical, because if you're going to do a Broadway musical of a movie, you may as well start with something bad and make it better, rather than, you know, start with something that was a huge hit as a movie that can't be improved upon.
Yeah, it's like easier to do this than try to repeat singing the bench. It's the bench. It's the bench.
Oh, it is?
Slightly.
I don't think so. It doesn't sound like it's coming from here. No. It sounds like it's coming from back there.
You're not picking it up, though, are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
In the speaker? I'm not hearing it throughout.
Hmm.
How are we supposed to roll? How different is this experience on stage than some of the other musicals you've done on Broadway, as far as the audience, the theater maybe? It just seems like it's a different thing up there for the actors.
Having the audience on stage is definitely challenging and fun at the same time, but you have to have such strong focus in the show. You know, like sometimes a little thing an audience member could be doing, since they're on stage with you, can just throw you, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, where am I? What? And plus, because the words aren't the way I normally speak, you know, it's very stylized. And so I have to stay so focused so that I don't like lose where I am. And sometimes the audience members are so into the show that they'll be on stage and just doing things like singing all the words with you out loud. So it's definitely interesting.
So you have some regulars.
Oh yeah, we know them all. We have people who've come to see the show many, many times. I think one guy, Brandon, has seen it definitely over 100 times. And we know that a lot of our Xanadu's by name, and you know, we love to see them in the audience because they're so supportive, and they still laugh at the jokes even though they've seen it a million times.
Did you roller skate before you came into the show?
I roller skated when I was a little kid, you know, like everybody else. I have roller skating birthday parties, but I never was good. I could basically make it around the rink. And so when they came to me and said, you know, can you skate? I was like, well, yeah, I can skate, you know, from here to there, but I definitely can't do any tricks. I wouldn't call myself a skater. So they put me into lessons, and it was hard, but I also loved it. And then when we started rehearsals, I was thinking, oh, wait until they see. I got really good. You know, I can do my arabesque, I can skate with my leg up. And I learned all the tricks, but I didn't learn just basic blocking. So my first day of rehearsal, I thought I was gonna be fired because I couldn't even like do a little skate around Tony Roberts. And so this show has definitely been the most challenging thing I have ever had to do, because I even said to our director, Chris Ashley, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to act for the first month of rehearsals because I am just thinking, okay, I'm stopping with this foot, I'm pushing off with this foot, I have to go around here. You know, it's just, I felt like my brain was gonna explode.
Is that why you rehearse every night, the skating? You rehearse every night, something, right?
In rehearsals, after I finished, I would rehearse every night.
But don't
Oh.
you before each show?
Before each show, I go over my skating. Yeah, I just do that just because every time you're on the skates, it's different. Like, just in your own body, like your balance could be off, or your skates, a tiny little thing could completely throw your show. So I just skate every show. Yeah, just.
Well, you, fix the hair. Oh, the hair. I guess it's over your eyes a little bit.
Is that okay?
That's good. Well,
Better?
I think the strands guy would be.
I think the other
Oh.
one, there, yeah, you have both, you have a couple of stranglers
Oh, that-
Thank you.
It's all good.
This is going that way, and that's going. Where's the hair, people? There. Don't move.
Perfect, thank you. That's why I say we're clear. Were you surprised at all the critical response to this? I mean,
Yeah, I was shocked about the critical response. I mean, we knew that some people would get us, and we thought, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't get us. I couldn't believe the people who got us were the New York Times. And, you know, like when we heard that it was a rave in the Times, we were all screaming and jumping around because it just didn't seem like, I mean, you never know what's gonna hit, and you never know what individual is gonna like what show. And then to have it pretty much across the boards be like these amazing reviews was, I don't think any of us expected that. I think we thought it was a show that either you like or you don't like, you know, it's either your thing. And like, it seems like it's, you know, whether you're old or whether you're 8 years old, people love the show.
What about all this talk of, this is a gay TV series, but of how gay the show is? Do you have a sense of that on stage? I mean, are certain things landing with an audience in a way you've never had before in your performing career? I mean, do you get a sense of that as a performer?
We know when our gay friends are in the audience. We love our gay audiences. They're completely different. Like, Cheyenne will come off and he's like, the gays are here. And it's just, they're just so supportive, and they get a lot of, I think a lot of the show is written with gay humor. You know, they just get some of the jokes that people don't, that you know, a more mainstream audience doesn't get. Just even like stupid things like, oh gosh, my mind is completely going back now. There's the reference to that older movie, that movie in our show, Clash of the Titans. And, you know, certainly a lot of our mainstream audience doesn't even get that joke, and, you know, it doesn't land at all. But when there's a big, great gay crowd, that gets a huge response. And, like, so certain things, Jackie and Mary get a huge response, so it's really fun when they're there, so come.
How about the theater itself, the Helen Hayes? How's that working for you?
The Helen Hayes is very interesting. They don't usually have musicals there. It's usually a one-person show. So our backstage situation is definitely less than glamorous. We all are in cubicles, kind of, and you hear everybody's conversations overhead. And so, I mean, that way it's fun. I'm right next to Jackie and Mary, so they keep me entertained the entire time. I just, like, eavesdrop on their conversation and occasionally, like, yell a line over at them. But it's also very challenging because we're constantly sick all the time. I don't know if you can tell, I have a cold. I never get sick. So many people on our show never get sick, and I'm on my 6th cold. And Jackie and Mary have been on antibiotics like 4 times. We just keep giving it back and forth to each other, so that's annoying.
How about the house itself, because it's so small? What about the intimacy working for or against the show?
Well, there isn't a bad seat in the house because it's so tiny, and you know, the audience just feels like they're part of this party, I think, with us, because every seat is so close. And, you know, there's a lot of interaction, people running through the aisles, and so it really works for our show to be in a small place, because it's kind of what off-Broadway used to be. You know, people can't afford to do off-Broadway anymore because, you know, people won't pay the money to go see off-Broadway to have long runs, and so our theater is kind of like off-Broadway on Broadway.